Hi, Martha here from Monterey Bay, and this video is by special request. It is a video for Miss Jazzy, a young gardening friend of mine. I am so encouraged that someone so young is thinking about gardening. So when she had a question for me, I was more than happy to try to answer her questions. And let me go on and share with you what the question is. Jazzy would like to know how to get started gardening. So I have a few tips for her. First, Jazzy, I made a seed box just for you. So inside the seed box, I have my name and phone number so you can contact me directly. I have a magnifying glass so that you can see where all those pesky aphids and insects are on your plants. I have a little tape measure for you so that you can measure the growth of yourself and the growth of your plants. Also, every gardener needs seed bags because one thing about being a gardener is saving your own seeds. I highly recommend that because the seeds that grow in your garden, if you save them, will continue year after year. That will help on costs, but also the healthiest seeds, high plane, have a safe destination. The healthiest seeds are the ones that you grow yourself. Now, I want you to do something, Jazzy. Start collecting these. Sometimes you can find them they in like your shoes or sometimes in food products. Like I eat a lot of seaweed and they always have these little packets. Save these and then place them in your seed box, or a lot of my seeds, I just get an old jar and I place my seeds in there, and also these little packets to take the moisture out of the seeds to keep the seeds dry until I'm ready to use them. And then in here, in your seed box, there's a variety of seeds. When you're thinking about gardening, try to think about all the colors in nature. Make sure that you plant like some things that are red, green, orange, so that they can really feed you physically. Another thing about gardening and seeds, plant the things that you love. I would suggest you start there first. The seeds in here, like maybe there's some seeds and you don't want to plant, keep them. Swap with another gardener so that you're not spending a lot of money. Gardening can become a very expensive hobby, but it does not have to be. If you reuse, reduce, recycle, you know, those 3 R's. So I have seeds in here to get you started with this gardening season. Another thing, while we're talking about seeds, and I'll put your seed box here so that you can pick it up. Okay, I'll leave it on the porch for you so that we can still practice social distancing. Another thing about seeds, I have a couple of companies, actually 3, and I'm going to put them in the description where I get my seeds from. M.I. Gardner, Baker's Creek, and Hudson Valley Seeds. I recommend all of these sources. Now, this year, I'm into like cultural type of seeds. So I love Baker's Creek because in their catalog, not only do they tell you about the seeds, they give you a little history behind the seed. Baker Creek travel all over the world and they find different seeds and they bring them back and they're so reasonable. When, you know, instead of going out to eat lunch, I'd rather just buy seeds to try. I told you about cultural. And this catalog is free. So make sure you go on Baker's Creek and get a copy of the catalog for yourself so that you can look through here and find the seeds that you are interested in. Okay? Yeah. Look at that. The world's most expensive pepper. Oh, wow. That is really interesting. Chocolate 7-pot pepper. I just love the names. Now, remember I told you the reason why I love Baker's Creek is because they give a history behind the seed. One seed, Jazzy, that I'm starting this year is the pepperfish. It is an African-American heirloom popular in the Philadelphia, Baltimore area. A chili pepper notable for its unique history. Fish peppers are like no other pepper. They're striated with speckled white and green leaves. Look at this. And so another thing that I heard was that the gardener actually traded, I think, the fish pepper seeds for medicine. And so that's how the seeds were acquired years ago, because the gardener, the African-American gardener that grew the fish pepper, needed medicine, so traded the seeds. And naturally, I grow things like collards. Collards are super, 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 a superfood. I take one of the leaves of the collards, I'll do a garden tour later, and I put it in my smoothie. Sometimes I saute them like spinach. Collards is an absolute superfood. One of the foods that the slaves actually had as part of their diet to keep them healthy during the harshness of slavery. So I would suggest when you're starting your garden this year that you start with the things that you love. So now I talked about your seeds. I want to talk about, before I continue, this is my calendar, but take a look at it. In here, I keep the seed packs. Now, the thing about gardening, you must label things. I don't have patience for labeling. So here's what I will do. When I plant something in my garden, I take the seed pack, I take my iPhone, and I take a picture, and then I record the date of where I planted that seed. Later on in the evening time, that's when I go back and I transfer that information to my journal. But while I'm working in my garden, I like to keep busy. So I use my phone as a gardening tool. I sow the seeds, take a quick picture, and then later on I write down the details. I love doing that in case I forget to write something in my journal. I have a photograph and I can go back. So I would suggest that when you're working in your garden, and maybe if you don't have a cell phone, ask your mom or someone else, your brothers, if you can borrow their telephone just to record some information, right, from your garden. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is soil. It doesn't matter how great your seeds are if you do not have great soil. So start with the soil. I use vermicomposting. I don't use any fertilizer, no chemicals, just wood mulch and worms. Look at these worms. This is the second layer. Look at that. I just put my kitchen scraps in here. You see there's even some things growing. Look at that. Look at that. It's just full of worms. It's almost time for me to harvest this, I think. See, your old kitchen scraps, just no meat and no dairy products, but coffee grounds, any type of fruits and vegetables, wood chips. So if you don't have any worms, Jazzy, let me know. All right, let me know, and I will make sure that I give you some worms so that you can get started with vermicomposting. Vermicomposting is composting with worms. Okay, so I think that's about it to get you started. In the description, I'm going to put some links down there for Roots and Refuge, wonderful gardeners out of Arkansas. Watch all of her garden tours from the past years. She does a great job describing things, and then you get to see the beauty of gardening. Also, I would suggest you subscribe to the Edible Schoolyard. It's the schoolyard up in Berkeley, California that was started. And also, I subscribe to Grow Family Network because it's a family that gardens together. And they do a great job, too, describing what's growing in their garden. A garden is a very personal thing. I use my garden as my sanctuary. It brings me much joy. It sparks joy in my life. I'm out in the sunshine. It's refreshing, right? It keeps me excited about life. When I see things growing, right, it just lets me know that if these plants can grow, I can grow too. I can get better just like my plants. So for you, decide what will what will your garden bring you? Jazzy, I'm so glad, so happy that you are exploring gardening. I truly believe that food is a social justice issue. We must take back ownership of our food supply. And if we grow our food, we know exactly what's in our food. So the more that we can grow our own food, I think the healthier we'll be. So that's a quest that I'm on, is by the end of this year, I want to make sure that 75% of everything that I consume, that I eat, comes from my own garden that I grew, kissed by the sunshine. Okay? Now let me go get those worms for you, Jazzy. I will have your box of worms ready for you. I will have your seed box ready for you. And you make sure that you show me, send some pictures of what's growing in your garden. Okay, now we're garden buddies. All right? Make sure that when you're working in your garden, you have some water, something to drink. And since we're still on shelter in place here in California, I wear a face shield when I'm working in the garden. Just a little bit of protection instead of the mask. I put on my face shield because my neighbors are always coming up to talk with me, and I want to make sure that I'm still protecting them and protecting myself. So I always have my face shield somewhere close by. Okay? Bye, Jazzy. I, I will make some more videos and share some more with you. I can't share everything with you in one video. But welcome to the world of gardening, Jazzy. And my other garden friends as well. Bye. Bye from Monterey Bay.